Winter Equestrian Festival, also known as NetJets Grand Prix Week. Lots to look forward to here this week. We're also going to be reflecting on last week as well. A busy week indeed, because it featured the Grand Prix, the three-star Grand Prix over onto the grass field. We had a national Grand Prix over in the stadium, and the under-25s got underway. Lots to talk about there and lots to look forward to. It's all starting to take shape here in Wellington. And joining me once again, three fabulous guests, and starting with World Cup final rider, Vanessa Hood. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Andrew Bourns, winner of the Grand Prix here this time last year. Still riding that wave, Andrew.
Yep.
And Charlotte Jacobs, fabulous rounds last week in the Grand Prix. Lovely to see you, Charlotte.
Thank you.
Looking forward to chatting all through our various topics. We're going to start, though, reflecting on last week, because it was a big week for Ken Farrington. When isn't it? But with two Grand Prix wins behind him, we had a little catch up with him after his second, and that was with the Florida Coast Equipment three-star Grand Prix.
This is actually his first win and first Grand Prix win today, so an exciting day for the horse and for our team. He's a very careful, competitive horse. I've got a great team coming up. He's one of that group. My horse is a big strided horse. Daniel's horse is also a big strided horse. I thought he had an incredible round. I probably have a little quicker foot speed than him. That took a lot actually to beat that round today, because he was dropping strides everywhere and on a huge gallop the whole way around. A great part of what we have here in Wellington, having different venues, that makes it feel like we're at different places so that they don't get bored in one space. This is a huge grass ring, really unique. I think this is some of the best footing you can find in the world. A great setup for places like Spruce Meadows and Aachen, and I love to jump here as much as we can. My program is sort of very specific for each horse. He has a very big stride, so we work a lot on him learning to control his power through little control exercises with poles and actually very simple stuff. He has to learn to contain his power, and we're starting to see that now. In his rounds are getting much smoother, and his jump off today I thought was great. Validates our work, and what we've been hoping is that we have a good team of horses coming up, and the results are starting to show, and always great to have a win.
Well, hearing from Ken Farrington there, we're going to also do a little review of that ourselves here as well. And I'm going to come to Charlotte Jacobs first. Charlotte, fourth place in the Grand Prix last week. It wasn't an easy one. Great result.
Oh yeah, it was very exciting for me and my team, and my horse jumped amazing, so I'm thrilled with it.
For you, how did you feel the Grand Prix came out last week? It was a big week over back on the field.
Yeah, I thought it was great. My horse loves to jump on that field, and the footing was fantastic both days. The Grand Prix, the first three went, and two were clear, Kent and Daniel. And so I kind of thought they were going to be a lot clearer, like there were in the WEF. I think there were 20 clear.
Yeah.
And then in the end, there was only 5 clear, and I was one of them. So I was thrilled. I got to go last in the jump off, and it was a really exciting day. So
for you, tell us a little bit about the horse that you rode there.
Yeah, so she's 11 years old. I bought her from Carlos Pinto from Milestone Farm back in the end of 2020, so the end of her 8-year-old year. And we've just been getting to know each other the past few years. And I jumped my first Nations Cup on her in Lisbon and then in Madrid. And she's just been fantastic. She gave me my first 3-star, 4-star, 5-star Grand Prix, first Nations Cup. So she's been an unbelievable horse for me.
Well, very exciting stuff. We can take a look at your jump-off round as well from that Grand Prix here last week as well. For you, tough one in there. You've got Ken Farrington in there, and you're going, okay, I'm coming into this. There's different levels coming in there. How did you feel about it?
Yeah, so I didn't get to see Daniel or Kent go, but I just thought, I'm just going to put in a consistent double clear round, and I think, that would be 3rd or 4th, and that's exactly what I did, and my horse jumped another great round, so I was really happy with the result. Following Kent and Daniel, never easy. They're so fast. So, my horse is naturally a little bit slower. And so we just took it easy that day, but she jumped great. So I was very happy with her.
What was the aim, and where does this feature in for the season for you?
We are focusing on the major leagues this summer. So I jumped her in the first 2 3-stars, and then I might try to squeeze into one of the 5-stars later in the season. We're just going to play it by ear a little bit and see how it goes. It's hard to plan so far ahead, but we try to get our horses to just jump 6 weeks maximum by the end of season. I think that's a lot. It's perfect when you're jumping FEI. You're not over jumping them, and they still get to show and do well. So she's had 2 of her 6 weeks, so
And
go
last
from
year
there.
was a big season in Europe for you, as you mentioned. I mean, you were out on the grass in Madrid as well,
Yeah.
but you were at a lot of the big shows with some young horses bringing those through.
Yeah, I have a good group of young horses. I have 6 horses, 4 of which are 8 or under, and I love being able to be here and go back to the barn and ride them every day. It makes it really nice. So.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
Andrew, you were obviously watching all of that all take place as well. What was your take on last week and Kent Farrington's success?
I think it was a fantastic class last week. I think we were all a little surprised with Oscar's course. When we walked it walked very nice. And frankly, when I saw the 2 horses go clear early on, I was like, oh my goodness, this is going to be a bunch of clear rounds. And it did not turn out that way. I think it was a perfect example of a well-built course because nobody had a particularly bad round. It was constructive for the horses. I actually had a younger horse in it as well, and he jumped quite well.
Yeah.
Menko VD Wellington, and it was just an all-round good experience. And I must say that the footing and the arena was in top shape as well.
Vanessa, you've been over there as well. You trained with Kent Farrington as well.
Yeah.
What do you take away from the Farrington knowledge throughout?
Well, I think last week was a really exciting week for him because he has a bunch of up-and-coming horses in his string, and I've watched him over the last couple seasons really develop those horses and progress them when he feels they're ready, and I think that's a big part of the sport. And so I've also seen him kind of hold them back and be patient, and I think he showed that he really knows how to develop horses, because last week he had Landon's first Grand Prix win out on the field, and then he had Grea's first Grand Prix win under the lights, and so I think it all really came together, and it's kind of an education to be able to see those horses progress and how he manages them. So I think it was a big win for KPF, big 2 wins last week.
But for you as well, I mean, it's been a big season so far. You're already sitting 3rd in the Captive 1 series at the moment. It's been a good start.
Yeah, it's been a solid start. WEF is always like hard it's kind of a rude awakening when you come, because every division is at its max. And so, I've been really happy to get to jump on the field last week. My horses jumped really well there. Easy Girl in particular was exciting. And so, yeah, we just kind of take it step by step each week.
We're going to come on to that a little bit later as well, talk Easy Girl and a few other horses in your string as well. In the meantime, we're going to jump over to talking about the MS U25 series. And Audrey Schultz with the win there for her. Again, very good start for her through the season. You've been through the U25s before. A really good building block.
Yes, absolutely. I did it back in 2011 and 2012 and got the opportunity to show in Leipzig, Germany during the World Cup finals my first year. And then I was second to Niall Nassar my second year. And yeah, it was great. You get that exposure, jumping bigger jumps and out on the field, under the lights, team experience. So it's really great.
Absolutely. No, thanks to Niall, that wasn't bad.
Yeah.
Whatever became of him. Oh, he became a 5-star rider. That was the point. That's why it works.
Yeah.
Okay, let's catch up with our winner, because Audrey Schultz was the winner on a horse called Darkito, which we're going to come on to in just a moment as well. But to see what Audrey had to say about her success on the field.
I got Darkito in July this summer in Traverse City. I showed him in the National Grand Prix there and won my first week showing him, so that was really exciting. And we were on Youth Nations Cup team in Peelbergen, and it's just been really great getting to know him in all these different venues. There was a lot of places without numbers where you just had to get on an open gallop, and luckily my horse has a huge stride where he just eats up the ground, so his stride is definitely an advantage in the jump-offs. His stride is much bigger than any other horse I've ever ridden, so it's really easy to do one less everywhere. We instantly clicked as soon as I got him. He's my favorite horse to ride. He's so much fun. He's so brave. Anything I ask him to do, he's right there doing it. He never questions anything.
He's awesome.
Well, there with winner Audrey. And so, well, I mentioned Darkito in there, and good to have in the studio today, of course, is Andrew Bourns. Andrew, you produced Darkito as well. We were just having a little off-air discussion about that horse as well. It's fast.
He's fast. He was fantastic. I bought Darkito as a 7-year-old from a very good friend of mine in Germany, Christoph Hassenberger. Produced him. My family produced him with me. and he really came to light in the major league. Not last year, but the year before, doing the major league team competitions, and he was very, very, very good and very consistent in that. For me, he was more of a Grand Prix horse, but it's just fantastically fast as well. And I think with Sid Schulman and her mom and Backcountry Farm, they really put together a fantastic partnership. It was a really a good match between Darkido and Audrey, and it's something you dream about as a horse producer, someone in my position, is that everything rider, that rider of a lifetime for the horse comes along, and it really happened in that horse.
I was going to ask you, how does that sort of feel when you watch horses going on, that you go, that's a great horse, but I'm going to hand it on?
And some people would consider it bittersweet, but I've done quite well. I've done it my whole life. I really don't know anything else other than, I produce them, and then when they're ready for that rider to use them at the Grand Prix level, I sell them on. It's always been the way I've done it.
That's what the business is.
I'm sure there is a little bit of bittersweet in there for some people.
You've got C-top blue in the
I've
stable.
got C-top blues there. I can't.
You're just fine.
Yeah.
Vanessa, from your point of view, U25s, when you were doing that age group, there wasn't.
There wasn't. No, you had to go basically from like the junior jumpers to sort of like the senior to like the World Cup finals and the big Grand Prix. And so I can really see the value now. I wish they would give me a pass so I could go in. I would love to do those classes now, but I think it's fantastic and great experience, and a good experience with pressure and competition. It's super competitive. So I think it's a fantastic addition to American and global showdown.
And it happens in Europe as well, exactly.
Yeah.
It's the same sort of, you've seen both sides of the coin now, having competed over in Europe and hearing the benefit of it.
Yeah, absolutely. The 1 year that we did it, we went to the under-25 final in Salzburg, Austria during their Christmas show, and it was just such a great experience. And it was, Bertram Allen was there, Simone Bloom was there. It was unbelievable.
It's not a bad listen, mate.
No,
So
really,
you
it
reeled
wasn't.
off right
It
now.
wasn't.
That's Simone Bloom, the world
Yeah.
champion. Yeah, exactly. That's not too bad.
No, it was
That's
a
too
great
bad.
group.
And for U25s, for you, I mean, you've had pupils that have been in there and been able to
I've
develop through.
had students. It's been very beneficial for them, and also it's a big market for us as a business.
Absolutely.
We can produce horses specifically for that level.
Yeah.
And it's nice for me. It's kind of my sweet spot to produce horses for slightly more competitive riders that are ready to go at that higher level. It's really where I've had the most success. It works, yeah, and I've been proven.
Let's also, that nicely brings us on to the National Grand Prix, which again was won by Kent Farrington. Greyer this time around. Vanessa, you've obviously seen Greyer close up and personal. But again, the initiative of putting a National Grand Prix in there, it was a real mix in there in the sense that young horses, some younger riders, some up-and-coming combinations for the season, and some well-established ones that just wanted to get out there under the lights.
Yeah.
It's a good way to play that, but it's a real melting pot of a class.
Yeah, I think that makes it hard on the course designer to kind of strike the right balance, but it seemed like he did, and the jump off was quite competitive. You had Ben Mayer also on a fast horse, and so I think Kent, that horse is very fast. I think he didn't go like 100%, but he went, and it ended up like every jump came up the way he wanted. It was really smooth, and he took it. No one could catch him.
Absolutely, 100%. For you, I mean, you're looking ahead to the season. What's going to be the way you play this? Because I mean, I mentioned there you did the World Cup finals back in 2002. We're going to come on to your story in a little more detail in a bit. But you took a break, and then you've come back into the sport. What's going to be the aim for this season?
For this season, I'm trying to progress through the levels, and so I've just started doing some larger Grand Prix, like 3-star and 4-star Grand Prix, and so my goal with WEF, I think some of the best riders in the world come here. It's super competitive, and so I want to practice getting faster, getting more competitive. So this is a great place to do that, and to also be around such top riders. You just get better by seeing them execute the course, and so really it's to learn and get faster and more competitive here. And then for the season, WEF is a highlight, and then I'm planning to do the Major League again this year. I had a really good experience with it last year, and so I see those as sort of the two main high points of the year.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Charlotte, for you, I mean, we've mentioned training in there. You've had, you know, Irish backing in terms of training with Greg Broderick there, of course, that produced some fantastic horses, including going global through there. But, you know, you've been able to dip into the different training systems, if you like, in the US and in America. You've obviously been very entrenched here. Your own parents, I mean, rode through to the top level. You know, and how does that all mix together and what has it done for you?
Yeah, so I come from a very horsey family, I guess you could say. My grandparents have been here since the 70s, and my parents grew up, or my dad grew up here, met my mom, and then, you know, they raised me here. So, you know, Wellington is technically home. The past 3 summers I've been in Ireland training there with Greg Broderick, and it's just been a fantastic experience, especially when you have young horses. Going into a program that is specifically developing young horses, it's really great. So it was an unbelievable experience.
Excellent. Andrew, you know, you've been moving between, I obviously saw you in Europe at Hickston and various other places last season, and back here again, but this is home for you, really, these days.
I decided the first year I came here, I didn't want to winter anywhere else. So why would you? So thankfully, with the help of my family and some success in the business, I was able to buy a place here and build a farm, a number of farms. And yeah, this is most definitely my home. Ireland will always be where I'm from and my heritage, and I'll always call Ireland home, but where I like to live most is here, for sure.
Absolutely. Don't blame me looking around. For what, end of January. It also brings us on then, we're going to talk about someone who makes his home here in the winter, is the Olympic champion, Ben Mayer, and Tic Tac. Now, Tic Tac last week put another win in, was the previous winner of the Grand Prix of week 2 last year and the year before. And Andrew here, I mean, Tic Tac, owned by Jane Clark, fabulous horse, 20 years of age now, and was top 3 into the challenge, into the class last week as well, into the Captive 1 class too. Looks in fine fettle.
Yep, 20 years young. Really just looks at his ease. I think he's benefiting from being in just one of the most fantastic systems in the world. The care and the maintenance that he would get is second to none. And obviously the ride is one of the best riders in the world.
And he's very lucky. He lives just down the road. He comes down to the show a couple of times a year, and he goes back home again and relaxes. Yeah, and relaxes. And really, he just looks so comfortable and in the prime of his health right now, really, if you look at him. So. Normally we're thinking about retiring at 20, but Tic Tac's looking great, which is nice to see. He's just looking up and up, really. And for out of last week, we saw, of course, Ben finishing top 3 there. He's been close to saying that, and that Captive 1 class as well. There's some really good combinations that came out of there, and again, you see them grow on the grass. Yes, and I suppose for me, from my heritage growing up in Ireland, jumping on grass was always special. Last summer, I jumped both Hickstead and Dublin, which are 2 of the most fantastic grass fields in the world. And the benefit to me and my horse were fantastic. And I really feel when you have a horse that suits it jumping on the grass, it can be very beneficial for them. And fun. And fun, it's great. And it's good watching as well. And you can really build a hell of a track out there. And even the Rolex, Guillermo built the $500,000 Rolex on the grass here last year, and it was one of the most incredible classes of the year. It really was. It was exceptional. Absolutely. Well, let's talk horses. Can we talk about a few of the horses we picked out, or I had a little pick out of those from last week, to talk about potential horses to watch for this season. Few obvious ones, few not so. Let's take a look at those, because the first of them is Landon, which was ridden by Kent Farrington to win the Grand Prix last week. And Vanessa, I'm going to let you talk about Landon and what you've seen of this horse and what you make of it.
Well, Landon is an incredible athlete. He is a super athletic horse. He's very scopy. He has a big stride, and he's also fast. And so I think Kent has just been working on getting all the controls and the rideability. And now he's just shining. He had a fantastic year. And as you can see, it's all coming together. And I think the field also really suits a horse like this because he can open up the stride and he just covers the ground. Just has fun with it. And he has fun. He looks like he's having fun.
Well, it was a super success for them. It got a little bit of the speed, little look of the Credence days, etc. But as you say, he's got an amazing string around him with Orofina. I can go on almost two hands now.
It's exciting. It's exciting.
It's going to be a big year for Kent Farrington. That's one of them, Landon, as I mentioned, in there as well. Another one I picked out, I'm going to come to you, Andrew, with Ben Mary's Exit Remo. Now, he was jumping down in some of the World Cup qualifiers earlier on to the season, new horse into his string, but horse is now 14 years of age, but has really come in ready, primed to do the Grand Prix from that point of view. Having a little look here, Andrew, what have you made of Exit Remo?
I think a really nice quality horse. Suits Ben's ride a little bit, you know, the horse is quite level and it seems to obviously jump quite well for Ben. Definitely responded well out in the field, and very nice and consistent. What's nice with this horse is his consistency and his rideability. It looks to be, his head is in the same position all the time, and he follows through the turns quite nicely. And if you watch his jump, his technique, it's very consistent. It's the same every time, and it makes the horse really nice to ride and easier to ride in a way.
And it's going to give Ben a good piece of his armoury out there, because Explosion is here in Florida. We should say that. What the plan is, I don't know yet, but Explosion is here. Of course, the horse that he rode to win the Olympic gold. He's got Exit Remo there. We saw another one we'll talk about in just a few moments' time earlier on today. He's, again, a bit like Kent, he's got some good horsepower to go with now.
He's got horses he can call on.
Yeah.
You know? I know from my personal situation, I have a nice horse and then some other horses that I'm developing. It's definitely become very apparent to me to stay on the higher levels of the world ranking, and that you need a number of horses that are producing results. Showing up here with one horse and think that you're going to get into the bigger classes and the bigger weeks, it's just not practical. It doesn't work that way.
A lady that's been there many, many times is Laura Crouch. She was running a horse called Calgary Tame here last week as well. Again, another one with a great heritage, because Old Chap Tame in there, which was ridden by Eugene Yango back there as well into France, but is also out at Devendi, which some will remember was a very fast horse with Jessica Springsteen. So bringing those two together, and you start to see the result with Calgary Tame. She was fast in the jump off yesterday. We'll take a little look at that in a second and just see how that came together. But Andrew, for her, I mean, Laura's not a class rider in the first place, but again, this looked a really class combination ready to go in the Grand Prix.
Yeah, it did. And you know, there was one or two times in the first round where the horse got a little green, because I remember I actually watched it. Even there, you can see it just hangs a little in front, but Laura's there just to guide it along. And in the end, like we said, between the field and nice course building, the horse kind of settled and actually jumped quite well near the end, which is always good to see. When a horse comes out on the field in bigger track like that first time, of course they're going to get a little bit green. But I think Laura did, as usual, a fantastic job.
Yeah, looking forward to that, because she was winner of the Horse Island Grand Prix here last year as well. And one final one from me. We're going to get a few from you as well at the moment. And that is Callie Shott with Garant. Charlotte, going more into your age group here. Callie's built a really nice partnership. Former Beezy Madden horse. She's trained with the Maddens as well. She won the 5-star Grand Prix last year in Traverse City. And they now just look so solid together.
Yeah, I mean, the horse jump's unbelievable for her. She's able to really ride it off a big canter and up to the jump, and it's just so careful and expresses itself so well. Obviously, the horse was also very, very good for Beezy, and then now Callie has Southern Arches, you know, buying her some horses, so it's great, and it's great to see, because she's such a talented rider, and horses really do just jump fantastic for her, as you can see. So.
And Vanessa, you'd say, I mean, you watched her a few times last year, seen at the shows you were out with the major leagues and so forth. You know, she just seems so confident with the horse now.
Yeah, I mean, I think Callie is confident in general. She's riding a lot of different horses. She's super consistent, very competitive and fast. And yeah, I think another example of excellent development. Beezy obviously did an amazing job. I don't think anyone wants to follow Beezy, but Callie has done an excellent job as well. And the horse just keeps producing great results with her.
And as you say, consistency, if we look through their results so far this year, they are there or thereabouts all the time, which is great to see. I'm going to put you all on the spot a little bit here. Vanessa, what are your horses to watch this season? What have we got You've got your own Easy Girl as well. Let's start with that.
I would say I think we haven't seen all the horses come out yet for the season. I think as far as my own horses, I'm excited about Easy Girl. She has had success with other riders, Santiago, Lambre, and also Kent, who you don't want to follow either. But she's a super mare, and she has that kind of X factor where she fights for you, and I love that about her. And so I've taken some time to get to know her, and hopefully it's starting to come together. And with her experience, I think we can jump some of the Grand Prix here. So I'm looking forward to that.
Any in the Kent string that you're going to be looking at?
I think Greya. After the National Grand Prix, I've seen him kind of in some Grand Prix earlier in last season where he's kind of been a little conservative because the horse is extremely fast and competitive and exciting. And so to see him compete, it really seems like he's now gonna let her out of the bag. And so I'm really excited to see what comes of that this season.
Andrew, coming to you. You've obviously got C-Top Blue in the string, and I got through my emails this week. C-Top Blue sitting top of Chaco Blue's offspring at the moment, which is a great little stat for you.
Quite impressive, yeah. The top-rated sire in the world, and he's the top of the top. He's the top progeny from 2022. So
yeah,
we were very pleased to hear that. And I think he's starting to mature. He's jumped a few 5-star Grand Prix last year, very successfully. At Dublin, he was double clear, and fourth. He was clear with just a time fault in Hickstead, and he had a few really, really great runs, and a few Nations Cups. He jumped very well too. This year, he'll go straight into the 5 stars here. I'm actually going to jump him in a national class tomorrow, and make sure he's not too fresh because he's had a bit of a break. And then other horses to watch. I start with my teammates on the Irish team. I think Shane Sweetnam's horse, James Can Cruz, is just absolutely excelling at this higher level, and just looks so comfortable at every step of the way. And I think Shane and the horse are a perfect match for each other.
Yeah. Won the American Gold Cup, of course, last year, and then top 3 in Geneva.
Top 3 in Geneva, and I was actually there watching live, and it was fantastic. The horse absolutely crushed it. And then really interesting, Max Watchman jumped Kilkenny the other day, and he's getting started with that horse. And I think we're all very excited to see what can happen with that partnership, and see what Cian O'Connor and Max Watchman and that whole team bring out this year. I think it's going to be good to see.
Charlotte, from your point of view, as you say, you were jumping Nations Cups last year. You've got an exciting group for yourself. Yeah. Tell us about one of those first, and then we'll put you on the spot for your own.
Yeah, both of my horses, Edicenta, who I jumped last week, and then Rincula Milchon had a really great fall season. He jumped 9 ranking classes, and 8 of them he was clear, and the last 2 he won. So
you won the Aiken Grand Prix.
Yeah, he won the Welcome there and the Grand Prix, and he's such a competitor, and he's 10 this year. So we're going to sort of see what he has this year. So I'm excited. And
of everybody else is sitting around there?
Yeah, I have to agree with Kilkenny. I think that's really exciting, and seeing that horse with Cian at the Olympics, and then now with Max, it's great. And they have a lot of great horses in that camp. So, seeing all of those horses come up, some of them with a few changed names, so it's hard to follow a little bit. But there are a lot of nice horses there at the minute. So. Seeing those will be exciting.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Vanessa, you mentioned that Easy Girl is alongside Lulu and several others in your string that are a big year for you. But I touched on it earlier on. You did the World Cup finals back in 2002. Yeah. You took a break. And what happened in the break, and what's brought you back to the sport?
Well, I took a break. I was in the middle of college, and I was sort of at a crossroads whether I was going to ride professionally or finish college and have a career outside of the sport. I think for me, I didn't quite have enough backing to go straight into show jumping as my career. So I decided to finish college and work for a number of years. And I think the beauty of this sport is that you can excel in your 30s, 40s, 50s. And so for me, I came back to it at 35. And have just dedicated my full-time, professional and other energy to the sport now. But I hope to kind of like pave the way, because I think you can gain experience outside of this industry professionally and come back to it and really kind of make it to the top levels and at the top levels, which I hope to do. And so, you know, I think I just present a little bit of an alternative path. I don't see a lot of people who have done it, but I really think it's possible. And I think letting people know that it, you know, if they decide to leave the sport for a little while and gain experience, work experience and life experience in a different industry, that they can still come back and thrive in the sport. And so that's sort of been my path, and you know, I'm working on it every day.
I think it's quite interesting though, because in my experiences, quite a few girls have wished to do the same thing. It doesn't work out for all of them, but I think it's really nice for people, girls in your and guys in your position, to know that it is possible to go and get an education outside and even have a career outside the sport and come back to it. It is a beautiful part about this sport.
Yeah. And I think I also think it's positive for the sport, because it brings people into the sport again who have different experience, whether overseas or in different industries. And I think it helps propel our sport forward and maybe bring in some new energy and new people into the sport as well.
And as Andrew alludes to, exactly. I mean, it's hard. You go off, you get education, you know, real life gets in the way.
Yes.
You know, to be able to do that and come back into it is a good thing.
It's inspiration for people, because many people do end up in your position where they're good, but they can't afford basically to continue at that point. And I think it's very important for people to know that there is a way.
Yeah.
That, you know, if you're smart about it and you make a good plan and you actually stick to it and probably work very, very hard, it's doable.
Yeah.
And just sheer time.
Yeah, but
time
smart as well, you know, be clever about it.
And you mentioned, I mean, you said, oh, I went off to work. You had some quite serious jobs. Can you tell me about a few of those?
Riding was my entire identity, like all through my life. So I had to like find a new passion, but I ended up becoming really passionate about national security and international law. And so I ended up working at the State Department for the US government. And I also went overseas to The Hague and worked at the International Criminal Court. And it was sort of like post 9/11. It was a lot of national security stuff. So I ended up working for NYPD as well, for the police, which was interesting. And then ended up at a private company, a Silicon Valley tech company as well. And so kind of 4 very different environments.
But as Andrew's saying there, it also, I guess it changes your perspective.
Definitely.
You come back in and go,
definitely,
I've got this.
Definitely, and you learn a lot about yourself working in different environments, and you know, I think you gain a lot of confidence in yourself, and you know, I think for anybody in this sport, it's very difficult to make it, but if you really want it badly enough, you find a way, and you find a way back to it, and you know, that's sort of my story.
We're loving it.
Yeah, thanks.
Charlotte, from your point of view, you balanced it up with education when you went through that stage, and then you were able to spread your wings and do what you wanted to do.
Yeah, so when I aged out, I was a freshman in college, and I ended up at the University of Miami, where I went for 4 years. I thought really that I was going there and I was going to be here every single weekend riding, and you know, I had still had a few good horses. And I ended up like falling in love with school. So I was there for more weekends than I was here. And it's a time that I really, really valued. You know, I was able to go away, get an education, similar to you, not quite as cool of jobs, but I went away. I lived in Boston for 2 years, and I worked and, you know, came here on the weekends and showed and did the lows and the medium amateurs. And then I was just at my desk one day and I was like, you know what, I really miss my horses. And my parents were like, we have a bunch of young horses, just come home and you can start doing this. So yeah, that's, you know, everybody has a different path, like you said. So
for me, I went to school as well.
Yeah.
In Ireland, before I started in the sport and the business full time. But for me, I had an advantage in that my family were in the business.
Yeah.
So it was always there for me. It was always made available. So when I was finished with school, I didn't really have time to get a job. It was time to start riding horses and doing it professionally. And then I moved here, and all the rest is history.
And for you, I mean, your whole family's been involved in sport professionally, you know, from the Boston Bruins to the various different sporting elements you're involved in.
Yeah.
You know, that obviously kept sport in your blood anyway.
Oh yeah, and like my parents always said, you know, the horses will always be there. Go work, go to school, go enjoy it. You know, it's 4 years. Like it's not. This is here forever. So, and I'm very lucky that I was able to come back and sort of rebuild my group of horses like we did, and have a bunch of young horses that we brought up, and you know, it's been great. I'm very happy I did it.
Well done. I'm feeling like massively underachieving. Thank you to all three of you. Good luck over this week. Vanessa, you're going to be into the big classes here this week, 4-star?
Yeah, I have a couple horses jumping in the 4-star this week. I probably won't do the Grand Prix, but yeah.
Andrew, you won the Grand Prix here last year. Still riding that a little bit, I would think. It was a big success. How important was that for you? And you're not in it this year, I know.
It was enormously important for me, and I can't understate that enough. It, if nothing else, it set the tone for me for the rest of the WEF season.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the year, it gave me credibility to get on the Irish teams for Nations Cup, and it gave me confidence in the horse and my own ability to go forward and really try to do well at a higher level again, even. And I think, it was hugely beneficial, and it was a great night. It was a wonderful experience. My first win under the lights here, I'll never forget it. There's nothing like it.
It was such a good win too. It was like so fast and smooth. It was like proper riding.
Yeah,
it was
and
exciting.
I was last to go, and there's nothing like your first, right?
You can tell by the way that your eyes sparkle up.
There's nothing like your first. I hope it's the first of many wins here.
Yeah, well, you're moving up to the 5 stars this time around, so we're going to see you in that.
Yeah.
Charlotte, as you mentioned, you're going to be with us over the next few weeks as well.
Yep.
Looking forward to that.
I'll be around.
You'll definitely be around. Well done last week as well.
Thank you.
Hopefully we're going to see you into more of those top 5s as well through the week.
Thank you.
And
Fingers
with a win as
crossed.
well, following on from that Aiken success as well at the end of last year. Congratulations, well done. We will be following all of that action throughout the week, because we've got a big week upcoming here for WEF Week 3. That includes, of course, that NetJets Grand Prix that's going to be with us on Saturday night. Join us from 6:30 to the build-up for that. Sunday is also going to see us into the 2-star Grand Prix as well. Lots coming up for you to see over the next few days, of course, and you can follow all on our live streaming. Head over to the Wellington International website as well. Head over to watch, drop down there into live stream, and it's brought to you by Wellington Equestrian Realty as well. Our thanks to them throughout the whole of the season. Join us for all of that throughout the week. We will be streaming all the Grand Prix. Everybody else will be taking part in them. Thank you from all of us, and we'll see you very, very soon.